0924 2503 2026. JTV. Desert One, the Ghost Jumpers. Let's get right into it.
on their workshop under the moon so bright. Sitting on their workshop under the moon so bright. Sitting on their workshop under the moon so bright. Sitting on their workshop under the moon so bright.
Ghost jumpers, ghost jumpers. They're coming through the window. They're coming through the window. Yes, yes. While the occupants are inside, waiting patiently. I'm coming through the window. Yes, I'm coming through the window. Paratroopers, elite forces. Well, I never. So, this is going to be called Desert One. Desert One and the Ghost Jumpers. The Ghost Jumpers. So we have 3,000 paratroopers of the 82nd Airborne Division.
Sitting on the rooftop under the moon so bright.
Yes, the elite of the elite. The elite of the elite. Let's have a look and see what they have to offer. The 82nd Airborne Combat Brigade. They're known as the All-American. The All-American. Not to be sniffed at. Not to be sniffed at. No way. Right? This is elite training. Right? So, maybe similar to the Delta Force. The Delta Force. Yeah. Right. Okay. So apparently they're descending or have descended in the Middle East. So from what I presume, there must have been reconnaissance. Military intelligence. And may I add, I don't believe this is the first mission. I don't think this is the first mission. They've been there. They've been there for some time. Nighttime raids. May even have been inside Tehran. Yes, in Tehran. Disguised, or maybe on the outskirts of Tehran. Okay. So we have special forces operating in the Middle East. Apparently, it's very difficult to really know what's going on, and rightfully so. You can't tell everyone what's going on, right? You can't tell everyone what's going on, especially when it comes to warfare. The element of surprise. Yes, we've got the element of surprise. The one thing that's not a surprise is that this is an elite force. This is not a joke. What would you say? Outfit. Yeah, no joke outfit. No. I mean, jumping out of planes, you know, and all this sort of stuff. I mean, it's something out of a movie scene. But it does happen, right? And after this, the grueling training that you must take to get into the special forces, you know, you're looking at the best of the best, the best of the best, right? The best of the best in the military, right? The guys that come into the bar, you know, they come into the bar and they run the bar, you know, they run the bar. They buy out the bar, buy out the bar. Let me get my fingers up. Let me get my fingers up. Sort out my page so we can all see together. Let's maybe go for this. Maybe the font's a bit small, aren't they? Right. So we have a 82nd Airborne Division, also known as the All-American. A United States Army Airborne Infantry Division based in Fort Bragg, North Carolina. With a rich history dating back to its activation in 1917. 1917. So they've been involved in numerous significant campaigns, including World War One and World War Two, and earning the nickname All American due to its diverse origins among soldiers from all 48 states. Right, so we have a potential deployment in the Middle East as part of the Immediate Response Force, the IRF. The force includes a battalion combat team from the 82nd Airborne Division and can deploy within 18 hours of notification. How about that? Hey? No matter where you are in the globe, you're given any trouble, and once the commander in chief asks for the assistance of the elite forces, they can be anywhere within 18 hours. Which is remarkable. I mean, to be all fitted up, dispatching, organization under 24 hours. That is amazing, amazing. Okay, 3,000 individuals, 48 states. They could be anywhere within the states, right? Ready for action. Yeah. So This is a rapid response. Rapid response under the Operation Epic Fury. Epic Fury. And is expected to support operations against Iran. Yeah? And this is airborne assaults, right? How many hundreds of feet above the skies, descending onto the in enemy territory, behind enemy lines.
Shooting on the rooftop under the moon show.
Okay. So they've been going for a while now, right? Oh, over 100 years. Over 100 years. Seen action in World War One, World War Two. So the experience is there. Whether this experience can be the same, I think the nature of warfare has definitely changed. It's definitely changed. It's no longer trench warfare, dysentery, having a game of football when it coming up to Christmas. Right? What are they going to be up against? Well, for an example, the Iranians pose a risk. The Iranians pose a risk. They also have their special forces. The Iranians.
Shooting on the rooftop under the moon show bright. Shooting on the rooftop under the moon show bright. Shooting on the rooftop under the moon show bright.
So we have the Iranian special forces, are elite military units within both the regular Artesh, the army, right? And you also got your Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, yeah, the much feared IRGC. Now, they're trained for high risk operations, unconventional warfare, and extraterritorial missions. I nearly said extraterrestrial there. Cosmic. Now, Iranian special forces are known as Niru Vizher or Takava, Commander Attack Troopers in Persian, with units trained in airborne operations, amphibious warfare, and commando tactics. The Artish maintains conventional special forces like the 65th Airborne Special Forces. Right? Let's check if I got that up right. Okay. Right, so that's still there. Lovely. And they're often called the Iranian Green Beret. The Green Berets. Yeah. So also we have rapid deployment, sabotage, and counter-terrorism. So ideologically driven units such as the Sabarin Takavar battalions and the Quds force, specializing in asymmetrical or asymmetric warfare, proxy support, and operations beyond Iran's borders. So it's fair to say these are the sort of guys that could be stationed abroad, waiting to be activated, right? Right. So this is the elite force of the Iranians, special forces. But they what could be what has happened before? What has happened before with Operation Operation Eagle Claw? Eagle Claw, right? Operation Eagle Claw, Eagle Claw. Yeah, right. Okay. Operation Eagle Claw. So, Operation Eagle Claw was launched in response to the Iran hostage crisis, which began on November the 4th, 1979, when militant students stormed the US embassy in Tehran, taking 66 American hostages. And this crisis followed the US decision to admit the deposed Shah of Iran for medical treatment, which angered Iran's new leader, Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini, who demanded the Shah's return and the end of Western influence in Iran. So by April 1980, 53 hostages remained captive after some had been released earlier. So we have the operation being approved by the late great President Jimmy Carter, April the 16th, 1980, involved a complex multi-branch military effort using Army Rangers, Delta Force, Navy RH-53D helicopters, and Air Force C-130 transport aircraft. The plan called for helicopters and C-130s to rendezvous at a remote salt flat Desert One. Desert One. 200 miles southeast of Tehran. So helicopters would refuel, pick up combat troops, and transport them to the mountain staging area near Tehran for the rescue. Right? So we have here is an execution and failure. On April 24th, 1980, 8 helicopters departed from USS Nimitz. Mechanical failures and a severe sandstorm reduced the numbers of operational helicopters to 5. So the fine sand, yeah, the fine sand, the haboob, yeah, the haboob, a giant unexpected wall of fine talcum powder sand, which blinded the pilots and caused a catastrophic collision at the Desert One staging site. Yeah. So we have smugglers' bad luck during the top secret 1980 landing. The first thing the invisible US Rangers encountered in the middle of a remote desert was a random Iranian fuel smuggling truck. They had to blow it up with an anti tank rocket, creating a massive fireball that lit up the secret landing zone for miles. He's over there. They're there, look. Smoke signals. So we also had the 1962 Frozen Rescue. Now this is a little known bizarre event. US Army forces once had to parachute into the Iranian mountains in a blizzard to rescue survivors of a plane crash. They ended up huddling in sleeping bags with Iranian mountain troops, chanting, ironically, Iran America, Iran America, Iran America, to stay awake and avoid freezing to death. We also have a 2026, a digital fog. Current reports suggest a ghost jump may have already occurred near a nuclear facility, leading to unverified claims of an ambush. So elements is that the war is being fought in leaked telegram clips before the Pentagon even confirms troops' movements. So again, missions may have actually happened. And to save face, you don't let this information out. Well, not at this precise time. I'm thinking whoever's going to write the books about this military operation, I think it will be a bestseller. It will be a bestseller if such things actually happen. Yeah, if things like that actually happened, right? The paratroopers. Let's go back to. I want some pictures of the paratroopers. Okay, we've got the news. Right, we've got some news clips here. 1,000. 1,000 there. So let's see. Let's put this up. See if we can put this up here. Right. Right. What we know so far. How do I get rid of that? I don't want that there. Oh. Right. I like these pictures, man. Yes. Wow, look at that. Look at those badges. Huh? The lightning strikes and the sword. Huh? Airborne. Yeah, airborne. Whoops. What's all that about? Get out of there. Right. Okay. Let me have a look and see if this. Right. Oh Lord, what's this one now? Okay. So now they're hitting up Baghdad. Yeah? Right? This may be a bit too gruesome. Right? Maybe too gruesome. Right? So at one point, the US paratroopers and the Iranian Artesh were actually partners, and they fought together in Oman in the 1970s. Yeah, there's footage of the Shah's trigger-happy paratroopers being trained by the same US advisors who would later plan to invade them. Yeah, right. So operations have happened in the past. Yeah. Some time ago. Some time ago. So it's fair to say the Americans have sufficient knowledge of this area, of this area. Okay. Right. But going back to Operation Eagle Claw, it is widely considered to be one of the most ambitious and bizarre failures in US military history. A mission so complex, involving all four branches of the military, and its collapse led to the total restructuring of the US special operations. Yeah. As I said before, you had your invisible obstacle, the Haboob, the fine sand. Yeah. Right. The Haboob. Let's get a picture of the Haboob. This is a dust storm. Yeah. Right. Right. Have a look at this. Right. So imagine going into something like this. Right. Imagine going into look at that. And it's you can see it's like a, as they said, it was like a talcum powder, so fine. Right. Any sort of delicate machinery can be affected by this fine sand, very fine sand. Also, as I said before, the pilots were blinded by this storm, this natural occurrence. Yeah. Right. So this dust was so thick it penetrated the sealed cockpits of the Sea Stallion helicopters, causing vertigo in pilots and overheating the engines. The pilots couldn't even see their own rotor tips. Yeah. So total blinded. Right. Absolute disaster. Okay. So out of the 8 helicopters, two failed to mechanical issues caused by the dust, and one turned back, leaving the mission with only 5 functional aircraft, one short of the minimal viable count to continue. So some helicopters did get through, right? The minimum did get through, right? So we have the midnight bus incident in Desert One, and C130. Let's get a picture of the C130. Right, the C130. It's a helicopter, is it? Oh, it's a plane. Okay, so this might have the so this would have the paratroopers on there. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Right. So this plane was supposed to well landed in a secret landing zone. Force operators had to pull the bus over and detain 44 confused civilians in the middle of the night. Shortly after, a fuel truck appeared, and when it refused to stop, the Americans blew it up with a law rocket, and this caused a massive fireball. A massive fireball. So now the position has been jeopardized, right? It could be seen for miles. Could be seen for miles. And unfortunately, the toll on this, including whoever was driving the vehicle. 8 American servicemen perished in the explosion. This was because of the intense heat and need for a rapid exit. The team had to leave the bodies of their comrades and several secret helicopters behind in the desert. So a moment of silence for those there.
On the rooftop and their lemons so bright. Sitting on the rooftop and their lemons so bright. Sitting on the rooftop and their lemons so bright. Sitting on the rooftop and their lemons so bright.
So we have a fatal incident that happened. Okay. So obviously you have to learn from your mistakes. So we may have to look and see what would they do to change this outcome. Okay. So this thing doesn't happen again. So we have Google binoculars. Google binoculars. Yeah. Right. Google binoculars. Right. Well, they don't look all that, do they? That can't be them. Military. Okay. I've actually got a code for them, so I might have to put the code in. Okay. Ah. Oh yeah. So these might be specialized goggles. Yeah. Right. Right. So these can see thermal heat signatures through dust and smoke. Yeah. So neutralizing the Haboob effect, neutralizing it. Yeah. ENG/B. Aha. Right. Yeah, this more looks like it. Wow. This is some nice kit. Yeah. So now operations can be taken with within the dust storm. So using the dust storm as a say a camouflage, right? A camouflage. I'm sure the Iranians must have their own improvements, or they may just, as being in that area for so long, they have their own little tricks up their sleeves. Yeah, they have their. I mean, it's their territory, right? So they must be used to the fine sand. So deploying out of an aircraft in the middle of the desert, pitch dark, sandstorm. You gotta admire the bravery of these individuals. Yeah, the bravery. Yeah, fighting for their country. Right. You know, they're not deciding to go to war. That is what they're trained for. They're trained for warfare. So I truly never have nothing more than admiration for soldiers, for the bravery and the training, okay, and fighting for one's country. My my more um, condemnation, if you may say so, make condemnation more heads towards the commanders in chief that are sending these individuals into these situations. You see, right? It could turn ugly. Okay, this could turn very ugly. You know, right? So we have there's also a strategy of one massive centralized landing, right? Like the one in Desert One. So dispersing your deployments in different areas, not having them in one area at the same time, which obviously could be a target, easy target, especially with the fireball signaling your secret landing position. Okay, right. So smaller groups, smaller elite groups, stealthy entries that don't rely on a single point of failure. Okay, right. So yeah, this is definitely history. This is historic to say the least. It's happened before, so there's not much of a surprise. But the outcome of this operation is truly something that the military analysis or the people that study military history will surely love to see the outcome of this. And what is the outcome? That I think that's where a lot of this battle so far has been so confusing and changing from one minute to the other. it could be intentionally done, um, but a minority may say the leadership are showing signs of not really thinking this invasion, this excursion properly. Right? So have they been in the area before? As I said before, you know, because drip feeding information is very important, very important, much to the morale of the troops, but mostly for the morale of the people at home, the people in the US. Unsuccessful missions should be kept to a minimal, right? You don't want everyone knowing that any missions have not gone on well. Now, back to 1980, you had your Dragon sidecars, yeah? And these were motorcycles designed to be dropped from planes. And these were going to zip through the Tehran's narrow alleyways, yeah? Right? And may although they say it's an invasion, I'm not sure if they're going to actually step actual feet on Iranian soil. Yeah, right. So you got your side streets in Tehran. Yeah, right. Now, whew, you know, everything about that sounds kind of. Oh, I mean, narrow side streets. You know, motorcycles. Right, this needs intense planning. Intense planning. I don't believe they will be able to. I wouldn't say they can't, but there's going to be a lot of fatalities if they go into Tehran on both sides. On both sides, but I always think about the World War II, the Battle of is it Stalingrad, the Battle of Stalingrad. You know, the door to door action. You know, this is some real brutal warfare. Actually, I think they actually done that in Iraq. Okay, in Iraq, this happened in Iraq. So in 1980s, the Delta operators wore casual clothes, field jackets, and they dyed them in a shade of blue to look like laborers from a distance while moving through the city. Yeah, some color camouflage, right? You know, and 2 minutes later, I'm coming through the window. Yeah, special forces, right? Well, I I don't know how they're gonna. I don't know how this is gonna be a secret mission. I don't know if they're gonna be able to do that in this day and age. Um, in Tehran, in terrain. This is going to be a really difficult mission to have any success. And I mean, the success would be for the Americans is not to lose any lives or huge numbers in this battle, and also to have a successful outcome, whatever that is. I just think this is a very dangerous mission. Also, you can have your civilians. Can't the civilians on the other side? What's going to happen to them? Is there going to be a mass evacuation? A mass evacuation of people, which is going to cause another effect. People displaced, having to move to different areas. We've seen how that's panned out in Palestine. Okay. Old Iran. You know. So how is this mission going to really deal a hammer blow to the regime? Right? For me, I'm not sure I don't know if he's changed his mind. I'm just gonna check now if he's changed his mind. Um but so this is a it's not really an invasion as such. They're in the area, but they are heading to the is it Carvig Island? I can't. Is it Carv? I can't spell it. Carv. Ah, Carg Island. Carg Island. Yeah, the Carg Island. Right. So another. I mean, look at this place here. It's I'm not sure how big that is. Right. But what I can see is a lot of that seems to be oil tankers. It's like an oil depot. Yeah. So just like before with these fireballs and stuff like that, I mean, you got huge pipelines, yeah, in the Persian Gulf. It just needs a match, you know. So this is another dangerous area for a mission to be for a mission to go ahead on, right? For the troops that are going to be stationed there, right? They could just be a sitting duck, okay, just like the aircraft carrier. I must say for all the brutality that they're saying about Iran, they for me it seems as if they're holding back. They have been holding back. I mean, they could have. I feel they could have inflicted a lot more damage. It's more of a tick for tack operation. Okay, so you poke me, I poke you back. But now it's escalating now, right? It's escalating, and we've seen that the Iranians are retaliating in kind. So where is this escalation going to go? This is the fear. This is the fear for myself, for the troops stationed down there. If it all goes horribly wrong, which it could do, and the attack is a retaliation, right? It's a retaliation. On a retaliation basis, it's very hard not to be justified. you know, not to be justified. If you attack, you know, if the roles were reversed, if they attacked, you would attack, right? Also, the Iranians have been very quiet, which is I find it quite sinister. It's sinister silence, you know. So we have Karg Island. So it's not actually on the Iranian soil as such. So we've got Karg Island. Um, Now you could have a surprise attack, okay, right, and damage the pipelines or whatever, okay, and disrupt the Iranians. Um, but I'm sure the Iranians must have another plan. They must have a crisis scenario, right? If that does happen, yeah, right. So the mission would be to go in and get out as quick as possible. So hardly an invasion, more of a sabotage mission, more of a sabotage, more of a sabotage, and run out as quick as possible, as quick as possible. Yeah, because I mean, to hold the island, that's going to be another thing. Okay, is 3,000 troops enough? Okay, so there is no invasion as such of Iran. That, but I believe that military operations have happened in Iran. Nighttime missions, yeah, by the special forces. But we're in a touch and go situation here, escalation wise, right? Escalation wise, right? And the final outcome. What is it? What is it? So this is going to be the end of this one. I said we're restricted on information, and we truly have to be careful what we say. Okay, yes. I just want this whole mess to be over. To be honest, and I feel we could be doing better things with our time. You know, um, and as I said, this this could be the point of escalation, and that is very worrying on both sides. On both sides, we're already seeing what's happening around town, around that area. Okay, right. So now the operation is Karg Island, and we'll have to and see what this mission, how 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 and when and what's the outcome. Okay, but it's a very shaky moment, on escalation wise? JTV, agree or disagree? It's place for you.
Bluetooth mode.